Okay, Giles, so yeah, obviously a little bit more spring in your step after today. Nice to get a win on the board, obviously. Um, First race, just go back to that one. It was obviously seems like you guys are feeling less confident in that lighter stuff, rightly so, with the performance of the boat. Ben gave it a nudge at the start, didn't quite pan out, but was very close to being probably a race-winning move.
Yeah, it was. It was one of those that is, it's on a knife edge. And I haven't reviewed it properly yet. It'd be interesting to review it properly. But yeah, for sure it was a close one. We wanted the right. We were fighting hard for that starboard end. We thought that they'd struggle to hang on to that ley line, and they did a great job of hanging in there and making a nuisance of themselves. So yeah, a close one, and unfortunate we picked up the penalty there. Yeah, and that was, as you say, that was the race really.
Race 2, that little bit extra breeze. I guess your confidence goes up in your boat's performance and the way you can throw it around. You still sailed relatively loose, I'd say, in a pure match racing sense.
Yeah.
Is that because a little bit of the performance of the boat, or is that just purely on the way the race course panned out for you today?
No, I think that's fair. For sure, we were flirting with the idea of being super aggressive and facing Luna Rossa every opportunity we could. But yeah, I think in that stuff, just on the lighter end of that race too, we just we felt we needed to stretch. We'd hurt them when we could, and if we saw a game, we had to go for it and not get too enticed into attacking duel with them.
And you looked very strong downwind today, especially in that second race. It looked like the boat was going really well downwind. Did that feel like that on board?
Yeah, it did. And I think even in race 1, I think the boat goes pretty well downwind. Downwind, I think we feel just fine. Yeah, goes well downwind.
And I guess just thinking about the starts, we haven't seen any passes yet for about 12 races or so after the starts. From someone who did the last cup with the reaching starts going into the downwind, have you got a preference for the way the racing is? What do you think these boats would be like if you did the reaching start again and into a run? Do you think it could make the racing a bit more exciting?
I don't know. It's an interesting question. For sure. I mean, the reaching starts work really well in the cats, and there's no reason why these boats wouldn't be just as exciting on a reaching start as what you saw in the last cup. Obviously, the decision was made to take a step back to a bit more traditional match racing, and I think that's been, from a sailor's standpoint, that's been really quite fascinating because it merges the old with the new. Would there be more passes? I don't know. I think what we've seen is that we've got over this series, we've actually got a couple of boats that are reasonably similar in pace for the majority of the win range, and the margins get smaller. You win and you lose races on smaller increments, and winning a start, picking the biggest shift is enough. So yeah, it hasn't really surprised me, but I mean, yeah, these boats would be just fine reach starts too.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Best luck tomorrow. Okay, so Ben, obviously pleasing second race. Thought you guys sailed really well. We discussed with Giles how you'd probably looked like you sailed quite loose in that second race. Not trying to engage as much in the true, I guess, tactical match racing sense. You happy with the way that all panned out?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately we got across the line first. I think we would have liked to sail a tighter race, but their manoeuvres seem to be gaining, particularly in the tacks, and so it's a challenge. I thought Giles did a great job finding that balance between trying to keep between them and the finish, but also not get engaged in attacking duel. And we discussed that quite a lot. I think up the second beat in particular. And it's a challenge getting that right. They're going really well. They're sailing well. But the second race was a good one for us, and I think well deserved for the team sticking at it, and gives us a bit of momentum going into tomorrow.
And even that first race, the first start, okay, you got a penalty in the end, and you've been aggressive trying to get the right hand side, but it can't have been very far. And I know you haven't really analysed it from not being a penalty and getting the right hand side and being in a pretty dominant position on that right side. And I guess that's the sport, isn't it? You're on the edge.
Yeah, it's sometimes it comes down to a matter of meters or centimeters, And I think in the lighter stuff, we know that we're going to have a challenge taking them on in a straight line, and we're prepared to throw it in there. And you know, I'd do the same again. We're not the kind of guys, we're not the kind of team that are just going to sit there and take defeat, let someone sail away from us. So we'll push hard when we think we need to. But yeah, match racing, it's a game of risk reward, and that one we just got the wrong side of.
Do you like the penalty system that's been used in this cup?
I think it's an interesting how the sport's developed with the foiling boats and the penalty system. I think it is better, obviously, than, you know, say one of these boats had to do a 360-degree turn or something, the race would be over. Yeah. So I think it's good. I think it's a real challenge for the umpires to try and get that balance right between penalising the boat and getting them behind, but obviously not too much. I think on balance they do a really good job. Richard and the umpire team. We were obviously giving them a bit of a hard time there on that one, but that's part of the game.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, well, best of luck for tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks.